Hello all, John here. Yesterday some of you will have noticed that I put up a little Twitter video in response to a friend of mine called Alec Bowman. Alec's just about to release his first solo album, his debut solo album, and I recommend that you all go and have a listen. He sent it to me to have a listen myself and see what I thought, which I was very flattered about and very pleased to do. And I decided to do it as a sort of Twitter thing where I put out my emotional response, I guess you would say, to each song as I was listening to it for the first time. Not an orthodox way to review a record, it's true, but I thought it would be quite an interesting thing to do. And in doing so, Alex sent me down a little bit of a melancholy path, I might say. It's quite a melancholy record, and he put me in mind of a song. And it was this song that I sent back to him. It's an old song called The Tramp's Philosophy. And I sent it back to him and said, I hope you like this in return. And it was just the chorus that I put out, and a number of people heard it and they wrote to me and said, nice song, do you know the rest of it? And I do, and that's what I'm here today to tell you about. I was going to keep this for my album, my next album, and certainly going to try it out on my next tour, which is in March. But why keep it? Why save it? If people are interested, we might as well talk about it now, huh? So, The Tramp, or The Tramp's Philosophy. I found this when I was researching a song last year. It was a song called Holly Ho, and I recorded that on my EP, The Trial of Bill Byrne and the Martins Act, and I recorded it with my friends Mikey Kenny and Nick Hart. And it's a great song that I love singing at the end of my sets. It's a real sort of sing-song, pub sing-song type thing. And in researching it, I found this other song. So in researching it, I went off and I bought a number of books about the Black Country. These are really ancient books. This one that I'm holding in my hands right now is published in 1952, and it was written by a man called Phil Drabble, and it's called The Black Country. Quite a straightforward little title there. Unlike some of his other titles, I've particularly got my eye on Phil Drabble's Weasel in My Meat Safe, and I'm sure now that you know about it, you've got your eye on it too. Anyway, back to this one. I was researching Holly Ho, which came from the singing of Joe Mallen, who was a landlord of this pub in Cradley Heath called the Old Cross Guns. And in noting it down, Phil Drabble also noted the existence and a couple of verses and the chorus of this song that he called The Tramp. Now, when I took this song to Steve Roud, the folk expert and the chap at Cecil Sharp House, he wasn't sure about this version. He knew about the song, certainly, and he even sent me some field recordings of it from the 80s, I think they were. And they were considerably different to this in some ways, and in some ways not, and that's always the case with these things. And so I've just sort of spent the last 6 months piecing around to see what I could find. And I've managed to find 3 verses. I'd be delighted if anybody could send me any more verses of this. And the melody, certainly the melody to the chorus, which is a rather fascinating little melody, it doesn't sound a lot like a traditional song to me. It sounds more like a music hall song that perhaps sort of made its way into the pub and people started adapting. But I thought I might as well just sing it to you and see what you think. This then is The Tramp's Philosophy, or The Old Tramp, or just The Tramp, or The Tramp's Misfortune. Take your pick, whatever you like. An old tramp was resting one day down by the lane, when a gang of young sportsmen came by. They passed many a joke on his old tattered clothes, and the tramp heard their words with a sigh. You may laugh, you may chaff, just because I am down in the world, and you'll find out to your sorrow, you're up today and down tomorrow. Well, you can't put a stop to misfortune, for whatever will be, will be. And I might have been up in the world like you, and you might have been down like me. What a scarecrow he looks like, said some young fellow there, like a bundle of rags come untied. And the rest of them laughed at the joke of their friend. And the tramp he looked up and replied, "You may laugh, you may chaff, just because I am down in the world. When you find out to your sorrow, you're up today and down tomorrow. Well, you can't put a stop to misfortune, for whatever will be, will be. And I might have been up in the world like you, and you might have been down like me." It's my favourite line, this one. "Misfortune, it came down through the top of my hat, and lower I feel. And from this day to that, when the sportsmen they met, they'd recount the old tramp's ordeal. Don't you laugh, don't you chaff, just because I am down in the world. You may find out to your sorrow, you're up today and down tomorrow. Well, I can't put a stop to misfortune, for whatever will be, will be. And I might have been up in the world like you, and you might have been down like me." And that's the old tramp's philosophy, or the tramp's philosophy, or the tramp's misfortune. Thanks for listening.